The water hit the ceiling of my kitchen, and I was holding a broken pipe in my hand. It started 20 minutes before, with one small drip. The tap under my kitchen sink was dripping. It started 2 weeks earlier. Drip, 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 all night. I could hear it from my bed. On Saturday morning, I decided to fix it. I did not call anyone. I watched a video on my phone. The man in the video was very calm. He said, "This is an easy job." It took him 4 minutes. So I went to the shop and bought a wrench. It was heavy and silver and new. I felt like a strong, useful person. I put a small bowl under the pipe. The bowl was for the water. It was a very small bowl. That was my first mistake. I opened the door under the sink. It was dark and dirty down there. There were 3 old sponges and a dead plant. I turned the wrench to the left. Nothing happened. So I turned it harder. The pipe made a strange sound. Then the drip became a line of water. The bowl was full in 10 seconds. I put a towel down. Then I put another towel down. Then I used all my towels. The water was on the floor now. It was cold and it was moving fast. I turned the wrench again. And the pipe came off in my hand. The water went up, not down. It hit the ceiling. It hit my face and my hair. It hit the shopping bag on the table. I shouted, but nobody could hear me. I stood in my kitchen with a pipe in my hand. I did not know what to do. I put my thumb on the hole. The water went between my fingers. So I ran out of my apartment. I was wet from my hair to my shoes. I knocked on my neighbor's door. Mr. Lee opened it slowly. He looked at my face. Then he looked at the water in the hall. He did not laugh. He said, "Ah, the sink." He walked into my kitchen in his slippers. He did not run. He opened a small white door near the fridge. I never opened that door before. Inside there was a blue tap. He turned it once. And the water stopped. The kitchen was suddenly very quiet. I could hear the water on the floor. It took him about 10 seconds. Mr. Lee looked at me. He said, "Every apartment has one." I said, "I lived here for 2 years." He said, "Now you know." We cleaned the floor together. He brought his own towels. Then he showed me the pipe. He said I turned it the wrong way. He put it back in 4 minutes, like the man in the video. After that, we drank tea in my wet kitchen. He told me about his old apartment. He told me about a night with no water at all. Before he went home, he took my phone. He wrote something in my notes. It said, "Blue tap, white door, next to fridge." That note is still on my phone today. And now I know where the water stops. 2 weeks later, my coffee shop closed. There was no warning at all. I went there every morning for 3 years. It was small and warm and a little loud. It was 7 minutes from my door. I always took the same table by the window. I always ordered the same thing. A large coffee with milk, no sugar. The woman behind the counter was called Anna. She had short black hair and a green apron. She started my coffee when she saw me at the door. That is a small thing. But it is a good way to start a day. On Tuesday morning, I walked there as usual. The lights were off. There was white paper on the glass. I thought, maybe they are late today. Then I read the paper. It said, "Thank you for 8 wonderful years." I stood outside for a long time. I put my hand on the glass and looked inside. The tables were still there. The chairs were on top of the tables. My table by the window was empty. I did not know what to do with my morning. So I went to work without coffee. The next day I tried a new place. It was big and modern and very white. The coffee came in a paper cup with my name on it. They wrote my name wrong. The music was too fast. There was nowhere to sit. On Thursday I tried another place. The coffee was cold in the middle. On Friday I tried a third place. It was fine. Everything was fine. And fine was the problem. I was angry about a coffee shop. I knew that was strange. But it was not really about the coffee. On Saturday, I did something different. I walked the other way, towards the park. It took me 12 extra minutes. I found a very small place on a corner. It had 4 tables and a green door. I went inside because it smelled good. And then I stopped in the middle of the room. Anna was standing behind the counter. She was wearing the same green apron. She looked up at me and smiled. She said, "Large coffee with milk?" I said, "You remember?" She said, "Of course, 3 years." She told me the old shop was too expensive now. She told me her sister opened this place in June. There was a table by the window. It was smaller, but the light was better. So I sat down. Now I walk 12 extra minutes every morning. I pass the park and a school and a bridge. And I arrive at work later than before. But that walk is the best part of my day. In November, I tried to cook my mother's soup. I failed 3 times. It was a cold and rainy Sunday. I was tired and I wanted something warm. And I wanted her chicken soup. She made it every winter when I was a child. It was yellow and thick and very simple. Chicken, carrots, onions, some rice. Nothing special at all. But I can still smell it. So I called her and asked for the recipe. She laughed at me on the phone. She said, "There is no recipe." She said, "You just cook it." I asked her about every part. How much chicken? How much salt? How long on the fire? She said, "A little, until it is ready." That was not very helpful. I wrote everything on a piece of paper. Then I went to the market. I bought everything on my list. I cooked it that afternoon. It looked exactly like her soup. It smelled almost like her soup. And then I tasted it. It was not right. It was not bad. It was just not hers. So I tried again the next week. I used more salt and less water. It was still not right. I tried again a week later. I cooked it for 4 hours. The kitchen smelled wonderful. And the soup was still wrong. I sat at my table with a full bowl. I felt very far from home. So I called my mother again. I said, I did everything the same. I told her about the 4 hours. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I did not expect. She said, "Who did you make it for?" I said, "For me." She said, "Ah." She said, "I never made that soup for one person." And then I understood. She made it when we were all sick. She made it when my father came home late. She made it and we all sat at the small table. The soup was never really the food. 2 weeks later, she came to visit me. She looked in all my cupboards, of course. She said my knives were terrible. Then we cooked the soup together in my kitchen. She did not measure anything. She put in a little of this and a little of that. I asked her how much salt. She said, "A little." I laughed at her. Then we sat down at my table. The rain was loud on the window. We ate the soup and we talked for 2 hours. And it tasted exactly right. Now I make that soup once a month. But I never make it alone. I always call somebody first. Sometimes Mr. Lee comes. Sometimes it is Anna from the coffee shop. And now they think it is my recipe. This year, 3 things changed on my street. A pipe, a coffee shop, and a bowl of soup. I did not choose any of them. But I know my neighbor now. I know a better road to work. And I know why my mother's soup was different. You are listening to Slow English Listening. If this story helped you, please subscribe to the channel. There are more slow English stories, all with subtitles. Listen again tomorrow, and it will be easier. Thank you for listening. See you next time.